awkward conversation right now rather than a completely destructive one in 5 to 10 years' time?
Firstly, I'm 34, not 50 fucking 5, so how about we ease the fuck up on the whole biological clock bullshit?
Don't sweat the small stuff and beat yourself up over nothing. Don't you get caught up.
Welcome back, guys, to another review. Today we'll be checking out We Live in Time. However, before we get started, do smash that subscribe and like button and share. I'd highly appreciate it. Thank you. So let's get started. So We Live in Time is one of those movies I was eagerly anticipating in the year 2024 because of the talent in front of the camera. One of my favorite being Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield. And this is one of those movies that has a familiar framework in the sense that we have a couple and they are faced with a challenge of a certain and sudden sickness that befalls one of them. And the trailer sold it as a very dour and moody, one of those movies like The Fault in Our Stars. However, the final product is quite different. We Live in Time excels by being different from the other movies in this familiar genre is that it acts as a deconstruction of the relationship, which is actually the centerpiece of this storytelling, and therefore it ends up not being emotionally manipulative like Fault in Our Stars, and it plays more like sitting in bars with cake mixed with Like Crazy. Two other movies that I will highly recommend, especially Like Crazy, is one of my favorite romantic comedies and a huge deconstruction in the human romantic relationship experience. And if you've never checked it out, I highly suggest you do, even though it's much of a slow burn. It's a really well-made movie. So We Live in Time is quite beautiful and touching, endearing, and a hopeful story. And it's not really a sad movie. It was actually quite funny going in because of the subject matter, which is cancer. But instead of it being sad, it's packed with a lot of very, very funny moments and interactions. And if you appreciate British humor, then this is going to go down easy for you. There's a particular scene especially that involves a pen, and it's a running gag, and it informs the story to a large degree. However, the execution was perfect. It was quite funny. I was laughing like non-stop during most of these scenes, especially with the interactions of characters, Tobias and Altam. Whenever we get a movie like We Live in Time, often at times there's the alien character who's written in a particular way that is always familiar. How this movie stands out, especially Altam, who's played fantastically by Florence Pugh, is she embodies this experience in a different manner, and she's able to showcase that this ailment is not going to define her. Actually, it's not really much of a spoiler, but she's determined throughout the movie to prove that this ailment won't be her only definition, and she wants to live a wholesome life that is introduced or diluted by the fact that she's unwell. And her character plays off quite well against her husband Tobias, who is played by Andrew Garfield, because they have different sentiments towards her approach to the situation. And this is what informs the story. It creates the tension and the foil in the story. Their dynamic is what carries this movie, because you have Altam, who's a more carefree, hot-headed and unpredictable individual, whereas Tobias, who is a data analyst at a huge company, is more analytical, is a bit awkward but steadfast and quite funny, and therefore they're able to complement each other. I have to commend Andrew Garfield's ability to have this organic chemistry with his colleagues. We've seen this with him and Emma Stone in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. We've seen it again with Claire Foy in Breathe, and now we have him exuding the same chemistry with Florence Pugh. They have one of the most funniest meet-cutes that we've ever seen on screen, and this propels them into this relationship that we get to explore throughout the movie. And it's a relationship that's explored by jumping back and forth through time. So we have this relationship explored in the past, present, and future, all told in tandem. And I found it a bit disturbing at times, and therefore this can lead to it being a discombobulating affair and even losing you Twice I had to rewind because I thought I'd missed something because some things weren't adding up or clicking. And this was one of the negatives that I found with the movie. I don't think it was utilized in the best way possible. Another aspect that I wasn't a fan of in the movie is the cancer arc, which was set up, but then the movie sort of pivots and makes it about the relationship, which is still fine. But I was really hoping that they stick more and address this situation because it's something that the movie alluded to as being dire, but then it just dropped off that plot point. It being an A24 production, which you can clearly tell based on the music, the production value, the quality of the final product, the performances, it's a very wholesome experience and one of the better movies of the year, which I would highly recommend. And therefore you walk away satisfied, even though the resolution at the end could go either way for you. I'm not sure I was quite satisfied with how the movie ended. Maybe you'll have a better experience with the ending than I did. My rating, I'm going to give it a proper 7 out of 10, a well-deserved 7 out of 10.
Guilty of looking ahead instead of right in front of me.